Fern. Ferns are a plant you're familiar with. You've seen these, and with the ferns, we are starting to get a more complex vascular system because this is the higher end. We are getting reproduction from spores that are produced under the leaves, and these spores will drop off and they will produce the gametophyte, and the gametophyte will produce the gametes that will start the whole generation all over again. And we'll see how this works. When we look at the life cycle, it says we start out with the fern, and this is what ferns look like. They use ferns for decoration. People use ferns for greenery. You can use ferns for a lot of different things. When you start looking at the fern, you will find that under the leaves, there are these little brown, what we would call sori or a sorus, and these are filled with spores. If you look at one up close, what you actually see is sporangia. These are not actually the spores. These are the sporangia, and the sporangia have the spores on the inside. So inside of one of these soruses, you're going to have a whole couple dozen sporangia, and inside each sporangium, you're going to have a whole slew of spores. The sporangium is produced on the underside of the leaf. This is a similar type of sporangium, and what you can see is you can see the spores on the inside of the sporangia, but again, this is the production of a sorus, single sporangia. Now, we're going to break this apart at this point and separate the haploid phase from the diploid phase. In the haploid phase, these spores that are produced from the sporangium germinate into this rudimentary type thallus, and you can see that this has what looks like 5 little pieces of hyphae on it. They will start to grow and they will produce something like this. And inside of this, you can see it kind of looks like a leafy structure, but in the center of it, where the two folds come together, you'll find production of the antheridia and the oogonium. The antheridia produces the pollen, the sperm cells. The oogonium produces the eggs. You get fertilization of the egg cell by the sperm cell, and you will start to produce a new plant out of it. In this particular one, what you can see is you can see a lot of oogonia around the outside. This is a slightly different species of fern, but you get the same basic format in. And the dark areas are actually where you're going to start to produce the ferns out of these, because those are the fertilized oogonia. And over here you can see a close-up of that. And all that's in the haploid phase. The diploid phase is the phase that you start out of there, where you get the formation of the new fern from that. When ferns come up, what you find is they come up in the format of what we call a fiddlehead. And the fiddlehead means it looks like the scroll work on the top of a violin. It's kind of curled around and it looks kind of all rolled up. And when these ferns open, they basically unroll from that specific spot. So as it makes the much larger leaf, it's just going to unroll from there. And then you're going to get the production of the new leaves that are going to look like this. And each one of these came out of a fiddlehead. Sometimes the fiddleheads are much larger, especially on ferns that are much larger. Leaves. You see leaves look like this. These leaves are compound leaves. If you trace this back, you only find the meristem down at the base of the leaf where it attaches in. So this entire upper part in here is a leaf. Again, we start out with the fiddlehead. The fiddlehead begins to unroll, and as it unrolls, you produce the new leaf out of it. And what you can see over here is you can actually see the leaf, and you can see the vascular parts of it, and all of these parts unroll. Here, this is expanding up even more. And even more. And you can see it continues to unroll. And as it's unrolling, it's producing new leaf tissue. Then the leaf tissue expands in size to get you back to the original plant. This is a tree branch that has fern growing all over. This particular type of fern is called a resurrection fern because it will dry out, but you can see the ferns in here. You can see how they're growing all over. And in certain areas like over here, you can actually see the leaves unrolling. These are tree ferns. These are 8 to 10 feet in height. And again, they are fern. They are vascular plants. They do not produce wood, but rather this is an agglomeration of vascular system. This is a staghorn fern. Up on the top of the leaves over here, you have the production of spores. The rest of it is photosynthetic area. These are very pretty and they are also very expensive. And this is a tree fern. And in this particular case, this one was somewhere between 15 and 20 feet in height. So when we look at ferns, very large variety, you have the production of the spores under the leaf tissue, and from that you get new plants coming. They require a very moist environment in order to be able to complete their life cycle.